Amazon becomes the latest AI-enabled big tech cloud company to outperform analyst expectations on Wall Street. Welcome back to the AI Breakdown Brief, all the AI headline news you need in around 5 minutes. If you've been keeping track, whether it's via this show or just reading Bloomberg or what have you, you'll know that in general, the big tech companies that have wired up their cloud business with AI are doing really well right now. Microsoft and Google have recently announced quarterly results that beat analyst expectations, driven by strong growth in their cloud business, which was itself driven by demand for AI. Analyst Dan Ives tweeted this morning, Amazon's star of the show was the AWS 17% growth, well ahead of the whispered numbers. Microsoft, Google, and now Amazon's robust cloud results this quarter speaks to an accelerated shift by enterprises to move workloads to the cloud. AI is the golden goose, with cloud setting the stage. I've commented on this before, but one of the things that makes AI so different than other emerging tech areas that we've had is that because demand for AI is driving demand for cloud services, the companies that are in a position to offer that, specifically Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, have been able to see benefits from their AI investments really early. Wall Street has rewarded it because AI isn't just some far-out thing, it's something that's valuable right now. Contrast that with, for example, Wall Street's response to Mark Zuckerberg last week, adding an additional $5 billion to their estimated expenditures because of AI and saying that that was unlikely to result in revenue in the short term. There's just more of a gap between how Wall Street perceives Meta is going to make its money from AI as opposed to those cloud services. Now, I think an advertising-based business has some pretty good reasons to be bullish on how AI can help that, but the point is that yesterday, Amazon reported really good numbers. Revenue overall last quarter rose 13% to reach $143.3 billion. Profit was up to $10.4 billion. Most importantly, both of those numbers exceeded Wall Street expectations. CEO Andy Jassy has not been quiet about the company's AI ambitions. As the Wall Street Journal writes, earlier this month in his annual letter to shareholders, Jassy laid out his vision for how generative AI could be a critical building block in establishing Amazon's next pillar of growth, following its online retail marketplace, Amazon Prime, and its cloud computing unit. As mentioned in that Dan Ives tweet, AWS was up 17% in the quarter to reach $25 billion in revenue. That division is running an operating profit of 84%. And emphasizing what a big deal AI is, Jassy said on a follow-up conference call with analysts, there's a very large opportunity in front of us. I don't know if any of us has seen a possibility like this in technology in a really long time. For sure since the cloud, perhaps since the internet. Alongside their quarterly reporting, Amazon also announced Q. This is an updated and expanded version of their AI assistant, which had been previously called Code Whisperer. The way they describe Amazon Q now is as the most capable generative AI-powered assistant for accelerating software development and leveraging companies' internal data. Amazon Q, they write, generates code, tests, debugs, and has multi-step planning and reasoning capabilities that can transform and implement new code generated from developer requests. Amazon Q also makes it easier for employees to get answers to questions across business data, such as company policies, product information, business results, codebase, employees, and many other topics, by connecting to enterprise data repositories to summarize the data logically, analyze trends, and engage in dialogue about the data. So basically what you have with Q is something similar to what Microsoft has done with the Copilot brand. Copilot started, of course, as just GitHub's AI-assisted developer tool, and then became the watchword for all Microsoft AI products and AI features within its other products. Similarly, Amazon Q has Amazon Q Business, Amazon Q Developer, which are aimed at different parts of the enterprise. I think one really interesting question that I'm certainly watching is the extent to which differentiation in these features will actually drive different decisions in the enterprise, or whether buyers will instead see these sort of AI services as commoditized. In other words, will Amazon Q be equivalent enough to Microsoft Copilot that the actual buying decision from an enterprise is going to be about other factors, such as their legacy relationships? It's too early to tell, but it's certainly an interesting thing to watch. Another story today, yet another group of newspapers have sued OpenAI and Microsoft around copyright infringement. This time it's a group of 8 newspapers, all of which are owned by Alden Global Capital. Those newspapers include the New York Daily News, the Chicago Tribune, the Orlando Sentinel, the Denver Post, and a handful more. Alden has more than 50 additional daily newspapers, so they could also join the suit at some point. The newspapers are accusing OpenAI and Microsoft of, quote, purloining millions of the publisher's copyrighted articles without permission and without payment. They claim that OpenAI and Microsoft removed copyright management information, such as journalist names and titles, and they claim that OpenAI engaged in unauthorized use of the newspaper's trademarks in branding answers from ChatGPT and Copilot. An interesting one is that they're claiming reputational harm from AI hallucination, basically saying that ChatGPT hallucinated an answer to a question and ascribed it to the Denver Post. On the one hand, there's not really anything new here. So much so that it's notable that this suit was filed in the same district as the New York Times lawsuit, which creates the opportunity at some point to roll those suits together. At the same time, even as OpenAI and Microsoft fight these battles in courts, they're also going out and courting deals directly with publishers, the latest of which was a deal between OpenAI and the Financial Times. Ultimately, of course, this will come down to court decisions, and I would be very surprised if ultimately these cases don't end up in front of the Supreme Court. One more Microsoft story before we get out of here. The company has announced that they are expanding their responsible AI team from 350 to 400 people. Of those, about half of the group is focused on AI safety full-time. What's interesting to me about this is less any particular substantive initiative that they announced or approach that they've taken, but the fact that the company is working to get press around this announcement. It certainly shows an assessment, I think, of where some of the regulatory and governmental winds are blowing, which consequently is the focus of our main AI breakdown. So that's going to do it for the AI breakdown brief. Next up, well, you just heard what's coming.